So No Man's Sky has gone through some really amazing changes, no doubt about it. I mean, there's many features that have been added along the years, but I'm not here to talk about all of these. In fact, I'm here to talk about all of the stuff that hasn't yet made it into the game. You know, things that maybe not even Hello Games themselves thought about adding, at the very least not up until now, which is why in this video I kinda wanna go over a wish list of mine that I have of features and functionalities that I want to see being added in No Man's Sky in 2020. And yes, I do realize that I kinda sound like one of those spoiled children, you know, you give them a small piece of chocolate and they kinda devour the whole house. I know that is me, but I do also wanna see more of No Man's Sky into the next generation, maybe even see it way bigger and way better than ever before. So you know what, we're gonna jump right in it, and as always, if you enjoy these videos, a thumbs up on them would definitely help me a lot. But one of the things that I want to mention first is something that I believe to be overdue at this point. Of course, I'm talking about cross-platform support, something that I believe that if Hello Games came out with an announcement right now, probably the entire fan base would lose their minds, because this is something that I always thought would eventually happen in No Man's Sky, and at this point it's surprising it didn't, especially since the past few years a lot of games, big and small, have moved towards supporting cross-platform. First of all, the main reason is because all of the platforms have their own versions of the same universe, so even though you might be playing on the same planet but on different platforms, you are going to see different servers even though it might be the same thing. And I think that if Hello Games came in and merged all of these into one single super server, it would be such a huge news for everybody. It would you know, deal away with many of the frustrations that a lot of players might have, including myself, and it would also be extremely convenient. Like, just imagine finding a cool address on the internet, maybe a cool planet, or maybe a cool base or item that you want to hunt for. You would just input the address and not have to worry about which platform that address might be for. You would just go in it and start your exploration right away. Even better, it would be amazing to, you know, just use your same save files on different platforms. Let's say you have one single account and one day you might be playing on the PC or on the other day on the PS4 with your friends and not have to worry about any of these. Now, this doesn't mean that any of this is going to be easy, at least not from a technical point of view, and there's also the question of what happens with people's discoveries, especially discoveries that have been made on the same planets but on different platforms, to which my response is rather easy. Well, either just create a whole new universe and reset everything to zero, like how it happened so many times in the past, or just, you know, throw people in a fighting pit and whoever wins gets to keep their discoveries. I think that I would probably vote for the second one. Moving on to number 2, since we were talking about other platforms, I think that even Hello Games realized by now that no matter what platform they release their game onto, it's going to immediately be successful. This happened with the Xbox release in 2018, then with the VR release in 2019, and I think that the next logical step would be to also create a Switch port or a Switch release sometimes this year. And if I were to like bet my money on anything coming up to No Man's Sky, it would be another platform for which Hello Games is working upon. I might be off with this one, I might be losing my money if I were to place that bet, but I think that sounds logical. Just imagine the amount of people who would love to play this game on a portable console and, you know, not just sit down all day and play it. Just bring it with you. Maybe you're traveling somewhere and you just want to like pop into No Man's Sky. Yeah, this is something that I would see a lot of players doing. And if there's anybody out there like me who, even though there are so many reasons to get a Switch even at this point, they would probably jump into, you know, this port and buy a Switch finally after also getting No Man's Sky on it. So that's what I would do. I did it with the Rift S, even though I wasn't that big on VR, I just wanted to experience the game on VR, so I can see myself doing pretty much the same with the Nintendo Switch. At number 3, I think it's time we also talked about some of the in-game stuff, the features and everything else in between, and I think that the game, you know, there's a lot of ways to improve and go forward, but I think the next step should be a backwards one. I think that Hello Games should probably go back a little bit at what they have right now and maybe even, you know, look a little bit back into the past, because there's some features that have been shown in the old trailers that haven't made it to the game even to this day, and one of them was the planetary freighter battles that were shown in some of the trailers. I'm not entirely sure why, but those were some of the coolest scenes I've seen in any game so far, like just having those huge intergalactic battles and seeing them from basically the ground level level and just looking up in the atmosphere and seeing these huge scale fights happening over there. This is something that I thought would happen in the game. I think that it's currently possible. I think that even modders might be able to do this, but I do want to have a full-fledged feature that supported this, or just make it properly working in the game, since obviously you can summon your freighters into the upper atmosphere, you can see them over there. There are battles that can happen, but it's not even close as cool as it was in the old trailers. And while you're at it, just revamp the whole combat with it as well. Maybe even make the freighters and your fleet more responsive to combat in general, because right now it's pretty static, pretty not responsive to anything, which is the exact opposite of what was shown in the old trailers. Again, nothing that I'm complaining about, just something that I thought to be cool and I wanted to mention it to you guys. Moving on to number 4, I know that the current trend within the player base is to heavily favor towards, more exploration in the game and having an update specifically just for that. I would love to see that as well, but there is one thing that I want to see even more of, something that would give you more reasons to actually spend more time on the current planets and biomes that already exist in the game. In this case, I'm referring to cities and civilizations on planets, not just like small outposts with 1 or 2 NPCs in them and nothing really interesting going on around there, but I'm talking about fully fledged cities with streets, with vendors, NPCs roaming around, maybe even vehicles. They don't even have to be that big. Like, I'm not expecting Star Wars level type of cities, something on a much more lower scale, and have these on dedicated planets, like only have a certain type of planet to support civilization and add it on top of the already existing biomes and planets that already exist in the game. I would definitely love to see this added in the game, and it would also help with the exploration that many players were talking about. Moving on to number 5, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, I think that the water in this game is its least appealing feature, and I'm not talking about the exploration underwater, neither the base building underwater, which obviously both of them have been improved and are in a pretty good state right now, but I'm talking about the graphics themselves, the actual 3D, or well, in this case 2D water that exists in the game. I'm not going to lie, even by 2016 standards it was already old by then, so yeah, imagine nowadays with all of these amazing games with gorgeous graphics and even more so with new render styles and render engines for water. I would love to see Hello Games dedicating at least one update for the water in the future. And no, I'm not expecting anything like Sea of Thieves level of water, even though I will admit that looks absolutely amazing. It's impressive as hell, and it would probably keep me playing the game just looking at the water all day long. But a small little upgrade here and there, maybe some 3D water, maybe some waves, wouldn't hurt this game at all. Moving on to number 6, I'm not sure about you guys, but I would love to see a revamp for the inventory and the upgrade system. Maybe something that fully splits them so that you don't have to deal with them within the same window. And keep in mind that this is something that the game was criticized for ever since its inception, for the fact that it's pretty inconvenient to deal both with the upgrades as well as with materials within the same type of slots. Of course, along the years this was made a little bit better now that we have expanded inventory sizes. We also have the technology section that kinda helps with that, but the core issue, the core problems were never dealt with or addressed, and they still do exist in the game. As a matter of fact, they are still present in the early game when you don't actually have all of that access to all of those unlocked inventory slots. So that issue to this day still exists on new save files, which is why I think that Hello Games should probably deal with this in a similar way to how other games in the space genre deal with them, and having them in a separate window of their own. Just having like an upgrades window with all of the upgrades that you might want to pick for your ship or your multi-tool or whatever other item is that you're using. Let's say you want to add a new type of firing system to your ship. Why not handle all of that into a hangar and then all of the upgrades in the window for that type of ship that you're installing? The same would go with the multi-tool. Maybe have like a workbench and add all of those parts in it, and deal with the upgrades on those specific pages and not like cover the inventory or anything, so it doesn't detract from its functionality. Now of course I could have said more, there's many things that can be added in this game, but you don't have to agree with my list. What you can do instead is comment down below, in your opinion, what other features or functionalities should be added in the game to make it perfect. It could be something that was shown in the old trailers and was never added, or maybe something new that exists exist in other games or don't exist in other games, something that would improve this game for the better and would still fit the theme. As always, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe for even more awesome content. Thank you so much for watching, and peace!